Hello, everyone. Before this podcast starts, we encountered some technical issues during the podcast, and we actually ended up losing a lot of audio. I did manage to get everyone's audio back nice and fine, except my own. My own audio sounded very far away and muffled. It looks like for some reason my microphone got defaulted and changed to a different microphone that I had on my desk. So I do apologize for the poor audio quality on my mic. We did try recording the podcast on a different day, and it just wasn't the same as this one. The information in this one was a lot better, felt way more smooth and natural. So enjoy the podcast, but again, apologies for the poor audio quality on my side. We should have it fixed for the next episode. But enjoy, guys. Less than 5 minutes. All right. What's going on, everyone? We got Mark Pulver, a returning guest. I think, Mark, you've been on the podcast, 3 times now?
Yeah, 3 sounds right.
And we got Justin, Jason Anderson, and Courtney Anderson. Sorry, Justin Carbone. I literally just spaced over that. All of us shot the NRL22X Badlands Brawl match up in Poplar, Montana. And yeah, basically everyone here besides myself has won. Mark got first, Justin got second, and Jason got third, and Courtney got first in ladies division. So I'm the only loser here. But it was a fun match. I think we all had a good time.
Actually, and the only loser in your household.
That is true. My girlfriend Devin got second place, ladies. So I am the only loser out of everyone. I was actually the only other guy who showed up. There's only 6 of us. So. But no, it was a really fun match. So yeah, basically, if you guys, this is the first time you guys listen to one of these podcasts, I do one after every single NRLX match that I shoot. I like to have some people on. Usually it's the winners. This time, I guess it is the winners. It's literally all of the winners. But we're basically going to talk about kind of our pros and cons, what we thought about the match, and kind of go over just the overall experience. And yeah, so what, real quick, I guess, let's talk gear, because I always end up doing this really late in the podcast. Justin, can you tell everyone what gear you run, and we'll kind of start from there.
Yeah, I use an On-Shoot 64 with a Schillen Select Ratchet 16 twist, RWSR 50 ammo, Night Force 7-35. Yeah, that's about it. Everyone else is we're all using the same kind of stuff, Game Changers and Kestrels and Skypods. Yep.
Mm-hmm. I don't use the Skypod. Listen, there's other bipods besides Skypods. Thank you very much. Okay. UTAC makes a phenomenal bipod.
They do.
Mark, what do you run?
So shooting a B14R factory, except for the trigger and stock now. And then I run a Athlon Chronos, a Manners TCS stock. I run the Skypod as well, Big Cincinnati trigger, wee bad gear. Should be it.
And then Jason, Courtney, what are you guys running now?
We both shoot Voodoo V22s. You have an 18-inch barrel from Proof carbon fiber one. I have a 22-inch Ace, 16 twists. We both run ZCOs. I run a MDT XRS chassis, and you run an XLR, I think it's an Element or Envy. Can't remember.
The chassis that makes the Voodoo feed.
Yeah, that that one.
I haven't tried my my Voodoo and my XRS chassis yet. I have a XRS on my Vergara, and I actually really like it. I just swapped over to my MPA, and I like it a lot as well. But the XRS was pretty nice. I actually, for like kind of a cheaper, budget-friendly stock or stock hybrid combo, it's actually really nice. I like it. Do you have the front enclosed forend on it, so you have that built-in Arca?
I do, yeah.
That makes it a lot nicer.
I love them. I think they're one of the better ergonomics, or they have some of the better ergonomics on stocks and chassis. To your point, you get the enclosed forend with the integrated Arca, and you can run your hand over your barrel. You don't have to worry about pressing on your barrel or anything like that. And
my only complaint against it was getting the action out
Yeah.
for me, is like impossible. You have to, for me at least, I always had to take the trigger off. I had to like pop it up, take the trigger out, slide the whole barrel action out, and then slide it back. I could never like get it without slamming into the barrel.
Yeah, my Voodoo barely has enough room to fit in with the enclosed forend in. It's really close. Otherwise, I just take the forend off. I just take it. Kind of sucks for disassembly, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a good gun. I mean, they're a good stock.
They are.
I forgot to include that I'm using the Firefly Precision Dope Timer. It's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
We all are.
Yeah, it looks like you guys
I
all
got
are.
one of those
I'm
as
the
well.
only one who's not. I don't know anyone who
Dude,
actually
we're
makes them.
representing
It's fine.
Firefly
Cool.
Precision, Midwest Precision shooters.
Yeah, it doesn't get left out over here just because I'm in Montana now. I see it is.
Forgot to say I was wearing a MPS jersey that day.
Oh, that's right.
You were.
That's gear.
Lucky Glizzy.
And I gotta give Jason Nedved's bag some props. The light fill.
The Get Light filled sticky game changer.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice for those angled props. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's like the same bag that I run as well. I run the heavy fill, and it's a cool little bag. I just like it because I got the first ones where he actually got the blue bags in for his MPS blues. So I love it. It's cool. But yeah, those little game changers are awesome. I know Mark's all about WeBad and always talks crap if I don't use a WeBad bag. But I run both.
I mean, it has cost you several places now.
Listen, okay. I run both. I actually have my MPA chassis actually has Jason's logo on it. He got some of them made with MPS too. So I always like to rep Jason's stuff. But for people who've already listened to this, I think since the last podcast I have changed rifles. So my new setup is a Voodoo and a 20-inch Bart Line MTU barrel, if I'm not mistaken. It's an MPA chassis, spur mount, and then Razor Gen 3 with AccuTac, or AccuShot, AccuShot by the not AccuTac. But yeah, just swapped over from my Bergara B14R. Thing shoots phenomenal. Still love my Bergara, but this thing is just a tack driver. I mean, I can't say more positive things about the Voodoo. So, but yeah, that's basically what I'm running. Of course, Kestrel. I think almost all of us are running Kestrels at this point. I feel like it's almost required. Yeah. So, yeah. Other than that, game changer, WeBad bags, kind of whatever. I'm obsessed with the pump pillow. I have a WeBad pump pillow. Can't live without that thing. I sleep with it. It's the most comfortable thing. If you ever actually driving back from a match, need something to rest on, get that bag up against the window in the car. It's perfect.
I have had to call him out at matches for wearing it on like prone stages.
I'll just wear it on a stage. I won't even use it. It's just my comfort pillow. I'll have it right behind me sometimes. Love it. Oh yeah, it's great. I've actually have used it prone, to be fair, Mark. So, but yeah, that's what I'm running. But yeah, so that's what I'm running now. I just swapped I think the Badlands Brawl was my first match running the Voodoo. I felt really good. I had a really good day. I ended up getting, I think, 9th out of like 40 or 50 people, 40-some people. I felt good, felt confident. I definitely think the gun performed really well. I definitely struggled on stage 9 and 10. We'll kind of talk about that in a little bit. I ended up walking up to Justin and Mark, actually your whole group, when you guys were on stage 10. When we first got to stage 9, we were waiting. And by the time I got to you guys on stage 9, because we started on 1, I was beat. I was tired. I was hot. I was thirsty. And yeah, I completely tanked. I think I got like a 2 and a 3 on 9 and 10. It was bad. Those are my worst stages by far. I was getting like 7, 8, 9 the whole day. And then I come to that stage and just dropped everything. But so real quick, what's all your guys' favorite stages? Which one was your favorite? Which one was your least favorite? Is there any stages you think that could have been done differently, or maybe some stages that were done really well that I know Justin is match director? I don't know, Jason, do you guys host matches as well, or?
No, we don't.
No. So I guess, Justin, is there any stages that you would take back and maybe use or kind of spin off and do something like similar what they did, or?
Yeah, I think he did. In general, he did a lot of kind of like memory type target order. So there'd be like 4 targets, and you'd have to shoot, in a specific order or off of a specific position off a barricade in a certain order. So that was just kind of a lot of memory stuff. I really like stage 1. It was basically, it's called Mixed Up Madness. You're on a rooftop and there were 4 targets and you just had to shoot them in like a weird order. Basically 12 shots. The entire match was 12 shots every stage. So for us running 10-round mags, which pretty much everyone on our squad was, we were just doing a lot of reloading. But it was just a good stage. It was just fun. The wind was coming left to right, and the targets, there was a couple small targets, and it was hard, and just I don't know, like I felt like I kind of got into a flow state, and it was just a fun time. So
yeah, it was very, to preface for a lot of people to listen to this, most matches you go to, at least the majority of I've gone to, they're typically either on like a box range or kind of more of a flatter range. The Badlands Brawl is in the Badlands. It is straight up. I mean, I think almost every single stage you're shooting either directly down or like slightly up. I mean, there was really no flatland. It's basically you're like a
we were shooting like a coulee the whole time.
Yeah, it's basically a coulee. So you're shooting down these weird angles. And there really isn't much for target signs or anything like target markers. I mean, this is kind of a field match, or field style match. So the only thing marking a target was literally snow markers. It was literally a tiny pole that was orange and white. Really not that bright orange. It was, I mean, at least for me, it wasn't that bright. And it's pretty hard to see. It definitely was a challenge to find targets. I think that was kind of at least my biggest challenge of this match was accurately swapping between targets. But yeah, like what Justin was saying on stage 1, the target order was, it was a memory game. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it went 3, 1, 4, 2, 4, 3, 2, 1, which was fairly simple, but to be able to snap back and forth to those targets and not have anything to really besides your memory to preface where that target is, it definitely made the stage challenging and fun.
And then the target numbers were not really related to like near far or anything. So like,
right.
No relation.
Yeah.
In front of you is target 1. Directly behind it at 100 yards was target 2. And then you switched over to the near target 3, and behind it was target 4. Where the pattern got messed up is when you had to do it reverse, and you did not go in a circle or a square, and that it didn't make any sense mentally.
Yep.
Yeah, because once you start to lose, we're like, yeah, there's nothing like in some matches they'll go like near to far, so you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then come back. There's no correlation. I mean, like you said, it went from 46, 178, and 103. So really, you kind of have to really mentally remember where things are and be able to snap to them pretty quickly. Because I think all day was 2 minutes. I think there's almost every stage was 2 minutes, besides maybe 1. So 12 rounds, 2 minutes, not a lot of markers. Was definitely a challenging match. I got a 7 on that stage, which I actually felt pretty good about. I was actually pretty bummed. As soon as we all finished, we left, and then they brought up the P.R.O, and he spray painted all of them orange. And they were not painted when we shot. So I don't think they really made that big of a difference. I mean, they still were a pain to see, but it was kind of like, great, as soon as I leave the stage, now they're orange. That sucks.
What Justin kind of glossed over too is that the wind changes where you are on the range. So the wind all day you were holding right because the wind was coming from the right on the vast majority of the range, because we started on stage 3. We started on stage 3.
Yep.
And then as soon as stage 1 was on a different part of the range and the wind came from the other direction. So you'd been holding one direction all day, and then this stage was the first stage that the wind was completely in the opposite direction, which also just added another mental level of challenge.
Yeah,
which
I also told Courtney what to hold for wind. She went the wrong direction.
When you started to say that, I was like, what are you talking about? The wind was going from right to left, because I started on stage 1, so it was left to right for me.
Oh, it was right to left.
Not on stage 1 for me. It was left to right, so that's why I was like, what? But yeah, like, because literally it was, I think, south facing, then west facing, east facing, and then, north, then east, then south. So you had basically 3 different kind of wind holds throughout the day that you had to change. And the wind was calm, at least for us in the morning, and then it picked up quite a bit toward the end of the day. So you guys said you started on stage 3?
Yep.
So you guys had that right to left wind coming through that canyon. Did you guys notice any updraft? Was any of your rounds kind of being pushed up?
I was high a little bit, but I think it had to do with not updating the weather on my Kestrel. Once I got that fixed, it was, we didn't see any elevation things. Did you guys?
No.
I didn't notice it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I agree. I didn't really notice it. I kind of expected to, though, based off of what we were shooting in and how similar it was to the Nationals 2 years ago. I know a lot of people in our squad at Nationals were having elevation issues there.
This is in Nebraska.
Yeah. So I didn't notice either, but a lot of squads were saying that they were like 210s high or 210s low or 210s high. Like, again, I mean, everyone's different, but and people are coming from all over the place. I mean, I know some of the Idaho guys said they were high on some certain stages and stuff, which, maybe they didn't zero right or what. But yeah, I didn't notice it, but I know that was something that was brought up at the match. People were talking about that they noticed an elevation change.
Yeah, but something to take note is our squad, and I can't speak for others, we confirmed the range of every target on every stage before we shot the stage.
Was it all pretty correct or no?
Yes. So
there was some differences.
So
there were. Well, go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, I mean, so the rangefinder, if you take into account the cosine, then what do you call that, Jason? Like, you don't look at the line of sight range.
Equivalent horizontal range.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's what was reported in the match book, and most of them were like spot on with that number.
Yep.
Yeah, because don't most new laser rangefinders get the angle for you, or no? Do you still have to input that?
Depends on which model you have.
Yeah. I would imagine most models that folks are using for this sport will.
No. So you said, Justin, your favorite was stage 1 then?
Yeah, I think so. Shooting in the Badlands is like, how can you get any better than that? There's so many cool places to put targets, and like the terrain is just so rough, and I just loved it from that aspect. So they were all awesome, in that regard.
Is that your first time? That's your first time ever shooting that match, right?
That match, yep.
You didn't come to it last year, yeah. So, because Jason, you came last year and won it all last year.
Yep.
Courtney, you came as well, right?
Oh, this was my first time. Yeah, so my biggest struggle was the wind. Like, was definitely, I'd never shot in wind like that before. And then when you went around the range and it would change, and like, so I mean, that was definitely my, like, because most of our ranges in Minnesota are pretty, consistent with the wind. Occasionally Rush Lake range will get like ebbs and flows, but it all comes in the same direction. So changing that kind of like direction of the wind call was definitely a big change. And then there was a lot of wind that I think, like, in general. And there, like, when we got to the end of the day or the afternoon, there was a lot of wind, and we happened to be on like the longer range stages, and there was quite a bit of wind for some of those. What was it, like 15 miles an hour at one point?
Yeah,
I was gonna say, what was your highest? What's the highest you guys got?
I was holding an average of 14. I think it was 14 miles an hour or 13 miles an hour at 330. That was my average. I had spikes up to 19 or 18.
So when you guys left stage 10, I was just getting to stage 9. My wind at stage 9 wasn't too bad. It was like 15. But when I got to stage 10, I got 22 miles an hour as the max gust, and it was like averaging around 18, 19 miles an hour. And I was like, great, now I got to shoot the long range. This is going to be fun. Great.
Yeah.
Well, and I actually waited for the wind to pick back up when I shot that stage.
Yeah,
he had measured at 15, and I was like, oh god, it died.
So you gave it a second? That's normal for that area. I mean, like, last year, I think the winds were calm. They were way higher last year. I mean, it was...
They might have been higher, but we were more protected by that hillside.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Because, that, like, slope. Last year was kind of the same way, though, too. You shot actually 180-degree difference. There were stages facing east and stages facing west. So this match was pretty cool. Similar location to last year. Actually, you could see, I don't know if you guys saw, you could actually see the venue from last year off in the distance. You could see the Alfred's Hill. But, yeah, so wind is definitely challenging. I know a lot of the guys up there in Glasgow are kind of used to that type of wind. I think every match I've been to in Glasgow has been like 15 to 20 mile an hour winds. So for them, that's normal. Billings, we kind of get like max 12, 15. We get high winds, but not like that. Badlands is a whole different ball game. So Jason, Courtney, what was your guys' favorite stages?
You can tell my least favorite stage is the tank trap.
I think a lot of people did. That was
It's burned in my memory. Justin apparently is a picture of it.
I got a nasty bruise. It's just finally healing now. But when I swapped to support side, my shoulder or my chub in my arm got stuck, and I just slammed into the back of the tank trap. And like, as soon as I did it, I like turned to look back, and I was like, "That's gonna leave a bruise." And no joke, by the time we got back to the house, it was just like huge circle, just swollen. I was like, "Yep, that hurt." That was a rough stage.
Yeah. For reference, that was so you had to shoot your strong side off of 3 different positions, and then switch to support side. And there was, I believe, 3 targets, and they were also very difficult to see.
Those are tough to find.
Like there was a really difficult target acquisition, and I'm running the ZCO, and I was like, "Where are they?" So I mean, it was hard. It was hard.
There weren't a lot of great features to reference off of on that stage either. Kind of more in the middle of nowhere, I guess.
So did you guys get creative with calling out stuff? So our group got really creative with like certain targets. So I don't know if you guys, I think it was on stage 4 where it had the barrel and then like the barrel on its side and then like the top of the barrel. The targets were next to these rocks, and so my girlfriend and my buddy's wife was in our squad, and they're sitting there like, well, one looks like a cupcake, the rock looks like a cupcake, and the other one's a pancake, and the other one is like a donut. So then they're like, all right, you're gonna shoot donut and pancake, and I'm just like, what are you guys on about? Like every stage was some type of landmark. Like I think stage 6 or 3 or 5 or one of them was there was like a grass that was shaped like Africa. So like, all right, there's Africa and there's South America. You got to hit those 2 targets. And like they were getting creative with call outs, and I was like, I don't know, what are they on about? I couldn't see any of that stuff. I just tried to find the target and shoot it. But the girls got clever. They were coming up with some cool names, and it got pretty fun. So
whatever works.
I think the tank buster stage, tank trap stage, I think was probably my least favorite as well. That one was just, it was tough. It was hard to find stuff. And then I like swapping to support side. I love stages like that. It's a blast. I actually did better on my support side than I did the strong side for some reason on that stage. But that tank trap was just not fun. I could not build a position on that thing. My wee bad grippy bag did not want to stick to it. It just kept sliding. I kept dropping everything. It was not fun for me. Yep. So, Mark, you?
I'll say stage 1 as well, but for a different reason. Chad DeWurst was there, and he got mad at me because I got a 10 on that stage and dropped an F-bomb because I didn't get my last shot off, and I was pissed. And I ended up with a high score on that stage, and he was mad at me because I was unhappy with a 10.
Yeah, it's really hard being in a squad with you, Mark, when you're like cleaning all these stages, and then all of a sudden, like, you sit there mad about dropping 1, and we're like, we got a 3. Like, yeah.
Dude, thanks. Shane, welcome to my life. I'm literally with the 3 top shooters in the match, and they're like, oh, that 10, and I'm like, okay, I got like a 4. Like, calm down. Like, everyone chill.
Well, you guys had Mark, of course you had Mark Pulver. You had Mark Flotmeyer in your group, and he was even saying that he was like getting like frustrated because he was like, I'd miss a shot and be like, well, shit, these guys didn't. So now he just, it became a mental game with him. And I was talking with him about that, and he goes, yeah, it just sucked. It's really tough being in a squad, especially. I mean Mark Flotmeyer is a great shooter, but if you don't stay consistent within that match and you start to fall behind, I feel like it's harder than being in a squad of just average shooters and just all shooting kind of average at the day. If you're in a squad with everyone who won, basically, and you don't do well, it's really discouraging. Just watching everyone do good, and you're like, yeah, this sucks. Let's go in the car.
Courtney did not mention she cleaned the first stage of the day, and we did
First shooter.
Yep. First shooter, it was the unicorn stage. She cleaned it.
That stage was bullshit. I should have cleaned that stage. A damn cow walked right in front of. I had to stop mid-stage. I cleaned the first 3, or my first 3 shots. Cleaned the second on the second, or the next 3 on the second target. Go to the unicorn. About to send it. There's no wind. and a cow literally walks right behind the target. I'm like, whoa, stop. So I wait like 3 minutes. And all right, go ahead. Right as I start, wind picks up. I have no data. I'm like, great, send it. Watched it were hit. Try to correct. Wind picked up. Missed even more. I'm like, this sucks. And then I ended up, I think I got 2 on the far one. I was like, I would have cleaned it, man. I was dead on. All my calls were perfect. And then, yeah, but no, he rubbed it in. He goes, yeah, the first person to come up the stage cleaned it. And it was a girl. I'm like, who was it, Courtney? And he goes, yeah. I'm like, makes sense. Yeah.
Well, I did shoot it with like no wind compared to the rest of you. I mean, it was the advantage of going first, other than being everyone's wind bitch. But it was, I mean, it was legitimately like no wind compared
Fresh paint too.
Fresh paint.
That unicorn target was actually, I mean, it's those type of shaped targets are actually very difficult because they're not, you can't really bracket. I mean, you can bracket wind, but it's not like consistently wide. So you're kind of trying to shoot this angled target. And, you know, I always struggle with that type of thing. So you kind of have to like pick your spot on the target of where you want to aim to get your good wind hold on it. And yeah. So I guess I already skipped over you guys, Jason, Courtney. You guys said which was your least favorite. Which one was your most favorite?
Honestly, the tank trap for me was frustrating just because of how much you had to get done, and that one didn't bother me as much as the rooftop stage. The first one that Justin and Mark liked, I did not like that stage.
Stage 1? I like that stage. What did you think about it?
No, I shot pretty well up until that was towards the end of the day, so I was getting a bunch of that dust in my action. And I had a failure to extract and then a failure to feed once I got it out. So it was
yeah, I think I was timing, and I think it burned 45 seconds. Like,
yeah, and I just started ripping shots off, and I was not making good shots.
That was your last 2 stages, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did you guys get a lift over with the side by side?
We did.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have your action open?
Yeah, it was in. I think we were holding it. Yeah,
that's what happened to me. They gave us a ride from stage 7 to stage 8 to stage 9 and 10, and we had our actions open with our safety blocks in, and my action got caked in the back of the side by side with dirt. And when I went to go run stage 9, I literally had to take my bolt out and wipe it down after the stage because it was super dirty. Yeah. Never put your rifle in the back of a side by side.
Yeah, I think we had them up front. We were holding them vertical, like between our legs or off to the side. Yeah, it was a dusty ride, and then I same thing for me. I actually cleaned my bolt twice, I think, during the stages.
But that's not the stage design. The stage design was good, but like
no, I still don't like it.
Okay.
I did see. So I mean, we didn't, but so on that stage it said no pump pill like equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Now people can game it any way they want. I saw people using backpacks.
Okay.
No, I mean,
count as a.
You have to be more clear if you're a match director, like saying. So he very clearly said no pump-like pillows. So okay, so you're not using a pillow, but that means you could use a rear bag, a backpack. I mean, a bipod. I mean, we shoot. Some guy at Nationals was running a bipod on the rear of his rifle. So.
How do you what?
You know, so probably want to say like no rear support or no rear. Yeah.
You gotta outthink the shooters.
Yeah, because
did you guys use any rear support on that? Or?
Yeah, we did. I mean, I think we did. Because I mean, so we're sitting there trying to debate how are we going to do this. So there's no ROs, and that was kind of like the biggest. I mean, one of the biggest issues with not having ROs is how to interpret the course of fire in the match book. So we're sitting there going, okay, so how are other people shooting this? You know, are we going to just assume that, you know, other people are, you know, just taking it extremely literally, or are they trying to figure out what the match director meant? And then, like, do we want to go get the match director? I mean, it was a big place, and it wasn't really feasible to do that. So we just basically took it literally. I mean, there's a couple other things about that. You know, there was one stage that said, so in the match book for equipment, you know, normally it'll say equipment restrictions, but in this case, it just said equipment. And on that stage we're just talking about, it said no pump pillow type bags. You know, other stages might say, you know, one rear support bag or only one tripod. There was one stage that said for equipment. It said none. And we're like,
Yep.
what does that mean? Does that mean you can't use any equipment, or does that mean there's no restrictions?
So what did you guys do? Because the RO told us no restrictions, so we
No
shot
restrictions.
with all bags.
That's what we
Yeah,
did.
and I heard other groups didn't do that. I know the guys from Idaho took it literal and had no gear on that stage. And my, I think the guy who got fourth, Wyatt, said he got a 0 on that stage because he could not get a nice position on that barrel and kept sliding, and he was pissed. But yeah, it's like
that stage was hard with like all the equipment you can use. I mean,
yeah. So and then definitely having dedicated ROs, but it's hard to get dedicated ROs for every stage, and you guys do a really good job with that. All your matches, Justin, you guys have ROs, and they're really well trained, and not everyone has luxury of that, and I think that's, at least for our Pro Series Championship, we got 9 ROs at 10 stages, and at least everyone's ROs stayed where they're at, so there was consistent where it was. But I mean, the level of ROs, a lot of guys were new to it, so having good ROs, and I know you guys like really try to get good ROs. It makes a big difference. I mean, your guys' match runs so smoothly, and the ROs do such a good job that it just makes it smooth, fast, consistent. You really don't have a stage that you're gonna like question like, well, that guy can run it differently from someone else. So when you go to these other matches, you definitely get stuff like that happens. Like we had an RO on that stage, another group didn't. It is what it is. It kind of sucks, but you can't really blame the match director because they just don't have the support or the ROs available for it. So yeah, I definitely think that kind of sucked for some groups, but it's kind of like, what do you do?
Yep, that'd be a tough one. The match is so far from everything, right? It's hard to get ROs near a big city, let alone out there. So
yeah, people listening, the Badlands Brawl is literally in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it is in Montana, so 4th largest state. It's in the northeast quarter of Montana. It's literally near no major city. We stayed an hour and a half away. Sydney's about an hour away. And once you get to his property, you drive through a field, like a legit farm field, for a good few miles. And a ranch. And it's literally in the middle of nowhere. It's a great venue, but it is absolutely in the middle of nowhere. So yeah, to get ROs, it's a hard thing to do out there.
But they had bathrooms, though. They did
this year. They did.
That's how Ruth's going to come next year.
Yep. A funny story about that. Last year they had bathrooms as well, but it took a little while to get delivered. But buddy Brian, who came with us, had to go to the bathroom really bad. Ended up climbing down a hill and using the restroom. Ended up come back with one less sock than he originally started with. And when he got back up, the porta potties were delivered. So he was a little frustrated after that. So, but no, porta potties were already there this time, which is great. I think the match ran a lot better than it did last year. Last year was still a good match, but I think he did a lot better job this year. It just ran smooth. And I think Wayne did a really good job this year. There was I think it was just a way better match this year than it was last year. And last year was good, but he improved a lot this year. I really was really happy about that, and it made my experience a lot more enjoyable. My girlfriend didn't come last year to the NRL or to the Badlands Brawl. She came this year. She had a really good time. So she's a little spoiled because she's been to like Justin's matches and Ruth and Justin's matches. So gets really good high quality matches. You hear that, Justin? Listen,
they said you.
At least you can say Ruth and Justin's match. It's fine, but it's when people say Ruth's match, I'm like, hey, wait a minute.
But she's been to your guys' matches. She's been to this match now. So we've been to a couple of their matches, and she can notice like the standards different. She's like, well, I want to go shoot a match like this. Not all the matches are gonna be the same. I mean, I've been to matches that are really good, but they're in the middle of nowhere with no ROs, and you just kind of do what you got to do. So. No, I definitely think Wayne did a pretty good job this year. Definitely improved. Food was really good this year. I wish there was a little more waters around. They had a lot of waters. They just didn't get them out or restocked, which he didn't have the help. So it kind of, nothing.
It ties into that RO's situation.
Yeah, not having the extra help, which, again, you can't really blame anyone for that. But yeah, I think it was a pretty good match this year. I know they were talking with BLM to try to get it back to the venue it was last year. They're trying to get like a 5-year like lease agreement to use that that place we used last year for the match. So that'd be pretty cool to go back over there, because I think the terrain over there is a little cooler than it was when we shot the match this year. They're still good, but
there's more natural terrain to use, and there's more versatility by being able to use both sides of the road.
Yep, and they have like the big natural rocks that you shoot off of. That was really fun last year. But sorry, we keep going back.
Out there.
So we asked Jason's favorite. Courtney, what was your favorite stage?
Other than the stage I cleaned, no big deal. Favorite stage designed? Let's see here. I mean, actually, like, I kind of. So the other stage I didn't like was the KOL rack, but we'll go back to that. Stage I really liked, probably, I mean, the rooftop, and actually I liked the barrel stage. I thought it was a well-designed stage. The only problem I had was that I'm quite short compared to most people. I'm 5'4", so I'm an average height for a woman, but for a shooter, I would be called short.
My girlfriend's 5 foot, so she feels your pain on that one. She's a lot of props she can't reach.
There are a lot of prop issues that, like, so the barrel prop, my issue was that you had to kind of get up on it to like see the first target, which was way down in the ravine, and I had like a lot of like difficulty getting that angle initially because I was too short. And, and it's hard when you're in a squad with all guys who are all, 5'10" and taller, because they just like plop their bag on and just set their rifle down and just shot at it. And I had to be like, oh God, and like manipulate everything. But that being said, I actually thought that was an enjoyable, like that was the triangle stage, right? The one where it was called Giant Triangles?
No, that was the one with up and down, the little cut.
Is that up and down? That's fine. And I thought
that's
the triangle
one where target 2 was target 3 in order.
You skipped one.
Oh yeah, that was another memory game. But I didn't.
Creeping up.
It's stage 5.
See, that was another thing that we were told by P.R.O. That was another stage that got changed for us. So the original order was target 1 60 yards, target 2 105, target 3 82, target 4 183. 133. The P.R.O. told us to go in order of distance, 60, 82.
Are you shitting me?
So we shot that in order of distance, not targets, which
that changes the whole stage.
Yeah. That would make it easier.
Definitely was a lot easier. I will say that. So I was the only one in the group. I did it the original way, and then we were trying. The squad in front of us had a couple new shooters, so they told us we could kind of like try to get ahead of them. So we jumped in front of them, and then they caught back up. So then we jumped back. So I shot it the original way, but I think when we got back, there was an R.O. there, and I remember everyone else shot it in order of 1, 2, well, near to far, essentially. Mm-hmm. So just little inconsistencies there, but it definitely did make a difference. I could tell, but none of us did good anyways, so I don't really know if it made that big of a difference. Definitely good. I guess second place.
But yeah, I guess I liked it, and then I also liked. I mean, the Giant Triangle stage was a very just classic. I don't want to say classic Roos stage because but it was a classic Roos Susie stage. It's 2 shots or Justin Carbone stage. I don't know who designed that. Ruth and Justin. I don't know. It's both of you.
They're all Roos matches. Come on.
It's all Roos matches.
He's not even a part of the NPS.
I know.
Anyway, so it was a very classic 2 shots move, 2 shots move, 2 shots move, change positions each time, and there was 3 targets or whatever. So it was.
Yeah, it was shoot it in.
You shot 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
You shot 3, 1, 2. So you shot clockwise 2 positions, and then you shot counterclockwise 2 positions.
Yeah.
I thought that was a fun 1.
3, 3, 1, 2, 2, 1, 3, 3, 2, 1. That was a pretty fun stage, actually. I think pretty much all of my favorites.
The only thing I would have liked better on that stage was using all 3 positions instead of 2 of 3 marked positions.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right. You only had to use 2. That's right.
And it's
why would have been really tough. Did anyone use the top position?
No, but why would you if you didn't have to?
I know, and I think that's why, because that would have been a very tough position to shoot off. That thing was pretty wobbly to be able to shoot.
And also, the height, like, so
Yeah, it was
someone
tall.
like me,
Yeah.
I would have
Yeah.
actually probably been like, I don't think I can actually shoot off that.
Yeah, there was a stage at the Precision Fire Outlaw Championship, and my girlfriend had to shoot basically kind of similar angle off of a prop, and she couldn't. So they got like literally a couple wee bad bags and set it down, and she stood on the wee bad bags to shoot the angle because she couldn't get high enough to shoot off of it. So yeah, especially like in a match like Badlands Brawl where almost everything was shooting down, to get that angle with someone who's shorter is just going to be really tough. So
Spool
you brought
stage-
up
I was gonna say my favorite. I don't know if I mentioned my favorite. I think the spool stage is my favorite though of all of them.
That was
The
the
gopher
first
one?
stage we cleaned.
Spinner.
the spinner, the gophers, and the long range coyote, whatever. That was a really fun stage. That was actually a really fun stage. So,
Yeah, it was cool because you know, Ruth and I have gone back and forth a lot about having spinners in matches. There's a couple reasons. For one, it's a mechanical target that, you know, can go down in the middle of a match or change in the middle of a match. But also spinners tend to be like really hard to like pick how you're going to score the stage. It seems like a lot of times, you know, if someone gets it over, they get a whole bunch of points and the spinner just becomes like a trump stage. And some people just aren't good at spinners. So we kind of like, you know, if you're going to do it, sprinkling them into a stage. So this one, there was a spinner. I think, did you have to spin it to move on?
You did.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's been fun.
So I
It was
wonder
only
if
worth
anybody got
one
stuck
impact.
there, but I mean, it was cool. We had no problem. It was at 50 yards and it actually went over with 2 hits and you didn't even actually have to really time it that great. So I'm sure most people got it over. But yeah, then you moved on and there was some prairie dog targets and a bonus coyote target. So that was a pretty fun stage that way.
Yeah, I did see the other lady in her group didn't get it to spin, but she's never shot a spinner before, so to be fair, she kind of really know how to handle it. But yeah, if you know how to shoot a spinner, you get that thing to spin in 2. It was a pretty easy stage. No, I have learned the hard way of having a spinner stage worth a lot of points. We had a guy at in Montana. There's something called the Big Sky State Games, and it's a ton of events. There's swimming, golf, whatever. Well, 22 precision rifles in it. And we had a stage where you get some points for every spin you get. Well, a guy hit it perfectly in the first 3 shots and got spinning and kept hitting it every time and ended up getting like 20 something spins on it. And like that stage was basically gave him enough points to like win 3 stages over. And he won by a landslide. I was like, never again am I having a spinner stage that's worth that many points. Like, one spin, that's it. You don't get all these extra for how
Maybe one little bonus point or something like that for getting it over and just move on. Yeah, we actually won't use them anymore in matches. People still like them and we love them, but so we'll put them in like side stages and bonus stages and things like that. But yeah, if they weren't, you know, the bearings just don't last forever, and we've seen them go down.
They're hard to score. I mean,
they are.
Yeah, there's so many different ways you have to score it, and is it fair? Is it not fair? Is like, let's say someone takes 5 shots to get to spin, someone got it in 2. Well, now there's lost 3 impacts. Yeah, it's a really hard thing to score. So yeah, using it as a side stage makes a lot of sense. And they're always just fun to shoot. But I can see what you mean by not having them in like an actual stage that's worth impact points. So was that your guys' first time in that area in general? I know, Jason, you were here last year, but Justin, have you ever been to that type of like that venue or that style of venue before?
I mean, I've been
first Montana match, right?
Yeah, I've never been, you know, to that area, but I have shot in the Badlands before. You know, center fire. Kind of have family that is in the Medora, North Dakota area, so we'll go out there and shoot center fire.
Badlands.
That's fun. But yeah,
I know, Mark. That's like basically your back door. You kind of Jordan area and where you used to live. You know, that kind of terrain is very common.
Forsyth.
I know, but I didn't want to say where just in case you got mad, so I said Jordan. Listen, it's in the general vicinity. It's Montana.
2 hours from Jordan. And that's 2 hours in Montana. Yeah.
But yeah, I think the venue is pretty cool. I definitely look forward to shooting there every year, so it's a lot of fun.
You didn't ask Mark his favorite stage.
No, I said it was stage 1.
He's at the stage 1.
Because Chad wanted to throw a rock at me after I bitched out it.
That's how we feel all day most of the time.
Yeah. I will say I did not like the KYL stage.
I knew that was going to be brought up. I I thought the stage actually wasn't that bad. They reinforced the prop, I was told, the second prop. It still was a pain. I had to like take off my bipod to get it into one of the spots.
There was nothing reinforced about it.
I was just told. But what made me very mad on that stage was when I got behind the second KYL rack on the second barricade and saw the impacts at the top of the case.
So it was actually on both KYL racks.
I didn't notice
So
it on the first one, but I was really bummed when I saw the second one. I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
I brought that up when I first got to the stage. And again, this kind of goes into having a lack of ROs, or even just certain ROs on certain stages. You get people who game the system and hit the top bar, which is a very easy target compared to a 1/4 inch hanger.
Yep.
Oh yeah, especially that KYL rack, like, I think, was it shooting target 7 or whatever, they make like a KYL rack that's very narrow at the top. Whoever made that KYL rack, it
got wider at the top.
It's a really big wedge. I mean,
even the 1/4 inch hanger got wider as it went up. But and that wasn't a skill based stage. So anytime you kind of start having a luck based stage, I really dislike those types of stages.
Yeah, so the way
anymore.
that the stage went, just for the listeners, so there were 2 KYL racks. They were both 4 targets, and you shot at one of them, big to small, hit the move. And when you got through it, you ran over to this other position, which was a really wobbly barricade, kind of think like a VTAC barricade. What was the thing called?
Yes.
Oh, the guy actually has like a specific company for it.
Yeah, so
you're barricade.
Shooting through
they're nice barricades if they're like mount, if they're actually put down correctly. I don't know if the terrain was uneven or what, but it was, at that match, it was very wobbly.
Yeah, so, and then on top of that, on the next KYL rack, you're going small to big. So you're just sitting there shooting, trying to hit this 1/4 inch target, and we're just burning rounds, just like it's basically spray and pray, and like send enough rounds and you'll get it. So like if you look at the scores on that stage, like a lot of people got 5, 5 out of 12 or whatever. The scores just kind of end up kind of what Mark was saying, like kind of randomized in that situation. So like stages like that don't do like a great job of like telling you, who. Like if you look at the standings, like the standings don't really match up with the standings on that stage. So
yeah, and that's very true. I mean, like I think that was I got a 5 on that stage, and then I look back and like that was the average, and I think most of you guys got 5s on it as well. So to see like the highest level shooters not even getting the top scores on it, it starts to become like a skill based, or not skill, like a chance or a luck based kind of stage. I definitely think it, if you would have just flopped it and made it big to small in the second one, it would have been a little more doable. Or even using a bigger KOL rack on the second one, because the barricade was hard to shoot off of. Because the first one you're shooting off of like almost like, what was it, like
it was a railroad tie.
Yeah. And that was pretty easy. I mean, that was pretty easy to shoot off of. I hit the first 4 shots. I think I missed only 1. And then it took me forever to hit the 5th, and then I could not hit the 6th target. I just could not. I think it was luck that I hit the 5th one, so to hit the 6th one, I knew I was no chance. But yeah, no, I definitely think that one was a skill-based stage. I really liked 10, even though I didn't care about it. Okay, sorry. I keep saying skill. I really liked 10. 10, that terrain on 10, even though it was just a prone stage, my favorite picture from that event was my girlfriend shooting that stage and just looking at like the rocks everywhere, and like you're shooting out just the Badlands. It was just such a cool photo, and a cool stage to shoot.
But that's also why stage 9 is really good too, because you did use the rocks. You shot off the rocks.
Yep, that was really cool.
So that's a true field match where you're not using any man-made barricades or props. You're just using actual terrain. So, and that's what I'm used to. I really like field type matches.
Yeah, that was the only negative thing. I think overall this year the match was so much better than last year. But the only thing I would say that was better last year was the location. Just like you said, I love like natural props and be able to shoot off of like some really cool rocks and boulders and stuff like that. Because I started last year on stage 3. I don't know if you guys remember that, Mark and Jason, but it was like that stage where you almost had to like sit down on like a boulder was right to your left, and like sit down and get on the boulder, and then kind of go down and get on the other boulder. It was like kind of on the side of a hill. That was that stage, and like stage like 5 or 6 where you had to shoot off like straight off that rock straight down. That stage, those 2 stages were so much fun to shoot just because of the terrain. So I really hope they go back. I mean, again, if it's there next year where it is this year, it still would be a really fun match. But the venue last year was just, I think, a little bit cooler. I think it was a lot of fun. But
I agree.
But yeah, so how was your guys' trip to Montana? I know it was kind of quite a trek for you guys.
Well, I want to start by saying I told everyone we were going to sweep the match. And there was some dissidence from some of the party.
Listen, you guys shoot so many matches. Like the MTS crew, you guys have such a abundance of matches near you. Like a lot of us Montana guys, that is the only NRLX match in Montana.
There's definitely some sharks that came in that one vehicle. But honestly, what was so enjoyable is it was pretty cool for every person in the vehicle to go home with a trophy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we worked for it. I mean, like everyone sort of alluded to, it was not an easy match. You had to work for it, especially on some stages. So
yeah, for you, Mark, 3rd time is literally the charm. This was your 3rd year, and you finally won the match.
I shot it first year before it was a sanctioned match. Yep. I lost last year to Jason.
Yep.
And had to put the beating on him this time.
Listen, he would have beat you if his gun didn't have some problems stage 1.
Jason's gun beat him, not you, Mark.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Mark, come on. You know you'll
Yeah, Jason let me win.
Thanks, buddy. I saw Mark the money being exchanged after the match. I saw the little $20 bills being tossed around you guys.
Yeah.
You guys are rabbits of people. It's okay. I know you Minnesotas are. So how long
Dude,
was
I tried to buy Trevin Gibson's cert. I mean, I offered him almost basically $700 worth of product for it.
You wanted that barrel so bad. I saw him walk up, and because I knew you said you wanted that barrel, and then as soon as I saw him walk up, I saw him take it, and I'm like, well, Mark's gonna be upset. And then literally, I saw you talking to him like, Mark showed up. Yeah, you showed up to the match. Was like, I got some stuff to trade.
I had a $400 rangefinder, a $200 billet, ammo holder, and then I had some cash.
I won that barrel last year. Actually, I have it right here.
Let's not talk about how you got that barrel.
I have it right here, bud. It's gonna go in my Defiance action when it finally gets here in November. I ordered this last November after the brawl, and it's a beautiful barrel. It's not been undone yet, but yeah. So
you hear that, Mark?
What it's like to not win it, Mark. You don't want to see it, Mark? I know you don't have your camera. It is actually very, very beautiful carbon fiber barrel right there.
Wow.
Oh,
Shout out to Arkin Optics. I pulled an Arkin off the prize table. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, that checks on that. So what did you guys all get at the match? I know you got an Arkin. Jason, Courtney, what you guys walk away with?
Courtney pulled the XLR cert, and then I grabbed a Trigger Tech trigger. So
you grabbed that diamond, yeah. That we weren't. Courtney told us we weren't allowed to bring home physical prizes.
Yeah.
We didn't have much
The vehicle was just packed so tight there was no room.
Oh, you guys took one car?
One truck.
Oh, I did not know that. I thought you guys took multiple vehicles. You guys took
it was packed vehicle.
That's
to
like
the brim.
9+ hours, you guys?
12. Yeah.
12?
12, yeah. It's a 12-hour drive.
Oh, I guess because you're not all... Because, like, when I go to your match, Justin, from Billings, it's like 10 hours. But I guess that's more west than where you guys are at, so... Yeah,
well, you only go to Fergus Falls, basically. You're not going all the way to the cities.
That's
south.
True. That's true.
Yeah, so certs only, and everyone started breaking the rules. I was like, no, certs only. There's no room in the truck.
Well, it's good that you got the Trigger Tech, because at first when I heard people talking, someone's like, "Oh, it's a left-handed one," and I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" Like someone said that to a youth shooter and like talked him out of grabbing it, and I was like, "What are you guys talking about? It's a left-handed Trigger Tech."
No, it was right-handed.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He has a right-handed, normal, standard 2-stage Trigger Tech. I was so confused. I think I don't know if it was one of the Gibsons, but it was one of the youth shooters who walked up and looked at it. And was like, "Oh, it's left-handed," and walked away. And I was What are you doing? It's not a left-handed trigger. So you got that. You got the trigger. Justin, you got the Arkin. Mark, what you end up walking away with?
I walked away with the American Rifle Company Embrace mount. So I actually just got that in the mail yesterday.
Already?
That's fast.
They are really good. I put it on the scope I won at Ruth and Justin's. What would you call that? Your June match?
Yeah, we need
summer
a
match.
better name for that match. All the successful matches have like a theme or like a catchy name, and this one we just call like the Midwest Precision.
The MP. Yeah, because you have 2 matches a year, so it's like one's the Halloween
season.
match.
There's 3 this season.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah, Mark, the Pulverizer, won our summer match.
Oh, is that who won it?
And
God, no, don't stroke his ego, man. Listen, he has not been winning matches, and all of a sudden he wins 2, and he thinks he's top of the world.
But what's even worse is
Mark's
when
not even in this
you talk to people who went to the match, and they're like, "Oh, how'd you do it?" You're like, "Well, I won it." So apparently, I didn't win it well enough.
Listen, we know all of Justin's matches are just random, non-skill based matches. So come on, Mark, you got lucky. It's like
I'm technically the interim champion because Jason didn't shoot it this year.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah,
I won it last year.
That's right. Where were you?
What were we? I think that was
Jason.
That was the Almond Delta event.
Yeah.
So there's a gun store in southern Minnesota that puts on like a camping shooting weekend. They have a pretty large area, and they have sort of like a Western themed town look to it. It's just a bunch. It's not actually buildings. It's like the front of the buildings.
Yeah.
Sort of like a movie prop looking thing, and they host a shoot there, and it's sort of a family tradition, and it just happened to land on the same weekend. So
I was gonna say, when we showed up that match, it was like one of the first Minnesota matches I've been to that you weren't there, and I was like, "Where the heck's Jason at?"
Well, and apparently Ruth planned it so he can't shoot the next one either.
Yeah.
Is it on another one as well?
It's a wedding.
It's my sister's wedding.
Yes.
I have one sister, and she's getting married on the day of their.
We'll tell her to reschedule, Courtney.
We tried.
Justin, let Ruth know the check will be in the mail for bribe.
I was gonna say, I'm sure Mark.
Last person to shoot against. Oh yeah, we have a whole fund to make sure you can't shoot matches. It's fine.
Both of us are out. I mean, you got top lady. I mean, you have like
my girlfriend went top lady because you're not there now, and Mark will maybe finally win a match that actually is counts. So, other matches
poor Mark.
His camera's not even on. We don't even know if this actually is Mark. I mean, he's the only one who doesn't have a camera on. Doesn't like his picture taken. Are you a vampire, Mark? Have you been out in sunlight before?
He'll take a smiley photo if he wins a match.
That's the The only 2 photos I've seen him smile are from the Badlands Brawl and then the summer match. Those only 2 times I've ever seen Mark smile. Speaking of matches, Justin, you guys' Halloween match is coming up.
Yeah. It's called the Monster Match. It's a night match. Really fun. I mean, I might be biased, but I think it's like probably the funnest match there is.
It is very fun.
Seriously, the reasons it's fun. So it's a night match. The targets are lit up with white LED work lights. It's a themed match, so the stages are kind of themed. The stages have like themed props, and there's kind of like light at the shooting positions. And there's music playing the whole time, so that's pretty unique. Some people probably don't like it, but I think most people like it. It's kind of like a party feel.
It's awesome. It is an amazing feeling. I loved it.
There's a costume party before it, and then there's food. Like the match is in like a really kind of like tight area, pretty close to a clubhouse at Rush Lake Range. So you can go inside anytime you want. You can grab food. There's food basically through the entire match. There's, hot apple cider and coffee and hot cocoa. So there's plenty of food. Ruth does an awesome job at the prize table. Everyone goes home with a prize. So we just try to do a lot. Mike Olson last year brought a giant pumpkin. I'm going to ask him if he can bring another one this year. So that was
really cool.
A lot of Easter eggs in the match like that.
Yeah, I finally talked my girlfriend into going to that one, so she's actually taking a day off. She's a school teacher. She's taking a Friday off so we can travel out there because that match was a blast last year. I think you should ban the use of green spray paint, though. I was a little buzzed from just being in the proximity to the guys who literally were Green Army men last year. I still remember walking past them. I was like, God, holy cow, that's a strong smell. And I couldn't see him. It was so dark. And he goes, just imagine how we feel. We're painted green. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know you guys are there. I'm sorry, bud. And he's just like, yeah, this is pretty strong. Like, they're just whiffing paint all night. So, yeah, I'm in Squad 1. I have Jared, Boyd, Mark Flotmeyer, and my girlfriend. So I put everyone in a group chat, and I was like, we're going to let's do a group costume. So far, no one has wanted to, so cool. Appreciate it. Me and my girlfriend might be the ones doing it, but try to talk Mark Flotmeyer into doing it. Because Mark Pulver won't do a costume with me. Tried that last year.
I'm there to win the match. I need the matching set.
Did you guys see his costume last year? It was a toothpick. And he has this whole backstory about this stupid toothpick and how it's this elaborate costume. It's no.
You know, fans of what we do in the shadows would love it.
Guys, the
Laszlo
trophies
the
this
Vampire.
year are going to be awesome. So you really got to win. Otherwise, you're going to be sad.
Well,
I'm going to have to win that one.
I'm going to
I'll
break
stick with that,
Jason's stock at the match. He's going to use that plastic
The 3D
prototype.
printed stuff. Yes. I might.
He's
Yeah.
threatening.
Oh, that's a bummer.
You'd probably try to break it, wouldn't you, Mark?
I could easily break it. It's held together with toothpicks.
It's glue. I mean, come on. It can't break.
Yeah, King Skull Metalworks is making the targets. They're going to have like LEDs lighting them up. I think
The
you can check.
targets or the trophies?
Did I say targets? Yeah, trophies.
Yeah. Trophies.
Sorry. Yep, trophies. Yep, they'll be lit up with LEDs. They'll be really cool.
That's really cool. Courtney, are you going to go that match?
I am. I'm going to be very pregnant.
I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah. No prone stages allowed because I can't lay prone.
So
All right.
everyone listening, Courtney is pregnant.
This is Courtney.
She's, how many months along now?
So I'm about halfway. Yeah.
Halfway. Yeah.
Mhm.
How is the brawl? Because we in our group, we had Olivia was in our squad. She is 30 days till she's due, and she shot that match, and we were all the whole time like, hold on, let's not get prone on it. Let's give her like 3 bags to lay on. Like we were all terrified. We tried to talk her out of going, and she was like, no, she's actually going to be at my match this weekend, and she's due in like 2 weeks. So
She's dedicated.
yeah, and she delivers she works in the hospital to deliver babies. So she's like, yeah, if it happens, I'll just deliver it myself. I'm like, what? No, I don't want this to happen.
I don't think that's how it works.
I do want to say a huge shout out to all the parents who do the sport because trying to carve out some time to do something for yourself, and the parents who bring their family even better. So they're the future of the sport. So I'm
Agreed.
way into supporting the youth shooters, and super big props to all the parents who do this and are able to make this happen because it's a lot of work to make it happen. Jason understands what it's like to tote around a wife and have to answer all the questions about all the things,
Carry everything.
carry all the bags.
I'm used to that.
So
pack mule.
Courtney will not listen to Jason in a match, but if Justin or I reiterate what he's telling her, she'll listen.
That's and no offense, that is my girlfriend does the same exact thing. She'll not listen to a word I say. I say the same exact thing. She won't listen to me. Then Mark will tell her something, and she'll listen to Mark.
Yeah, that's how it works. That's the rules.
Yeah.
That's how it
listen
works.
to us. You know, it's fine.
Justin,
I remember
I
one of the
don't
simple
listen
things
to
was
Jason.
it was stage 2, and we were trying to get her to bend at the hips instead of the knees. He's like, Mark, will you please tell Courtney?
Especially packing gear.
You did.
I did listen.
Especially packing gear. My girlfriend might look like she has a big pack on her back. That thing has nothing in it. All the heavy bags she puts in my backpack. She has literally the sweatshirt and the pump pillow in her backpack, and I'm sitting there with all of the heavy wee bads and everything she can't carry. She puts in mine. I'm a pack mule, and anything I say she doesn't listen to, and I have someone else have to tell her. So yeah, no, I know exactly what that feels, Jason. Yeah, see how it is. So, you guys think you're going to come out next year?
I'll plan on it for sure.
It's such a cool venue. Like, it really is super incredible and unique. And because we've been to 2 nationals now, and I think both nationals had a really interesting feel and were different, but this was something completely different than even both of those nationals. I think it was just such a cool place.
Yeah, especially if they move the venue back to where it was. It's nothing wrong with where it was this year, but it's more visually appealing, I think, for the spot they had it 2 years ago.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then that's when I talked to Wayne about. Was he was saying that they're trying to get, basically that's on part of his land and some of it's on BLM land, so they're trying to get like a deal worked where they can. You have to get a permit essentially, and it's like X amount of years. So he's trying that, but hopefully you guys. I know you're just talking about youth and stuff. Hopefully you guys got to see little baby Brown, Wayne and Darci's child.
We did.
He was a mascot. I kept hanging out with him every time I walked through stage. I was near him and stuff. He was hilarious. All of a sudden, he just grabs some dirt and chucks in his face. I'm like, oh, all right, bud. He was a character, but yeah, it was really cool to see that. And I know Wayne and Darci, and they bring him to all the matches. You know, ever since he was born. I mean, they bring him to all the matches. He has little earmuffs on, and you know, he goes to matches. And I know they already have a gun that's worth way more than mine already lined up for that child. So as soon as that child's ready to shoot, that child's gonna be shooting, you know, a brand new gun. So yeah, it's pretty cool to see that. There was a decent amount of youth shooters this year. I think last year there really wasn't a whole lot, was there? Mark, do you remember?
Well, actually, there was only 3 this year, but last year, Ari and Gwen Miller were here.
That's right.
So I think we actually had more last year. Something interesting.
Oh,
It
right.
was
Dan's kids was there as well.
Was it
That's
Chad's
right.
cousin or his brother that shot the match from Montana?
Cousin, I think.
Yep.
Cousin, and then his cousin's son, Bo, took second at his very first match as a young gun. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
you know, Courtney was talking
I
about
talked to
bringing
him
young
about that.
guns, and then Chad brought a young gun who took second. So,
Yeah, he had a blast. I talked to him when they were the group in front of us because he wasn't near sure. That's why they wanted us to try to jump ahead of him if we could any time to get past them. But yeah, he said he had a blast, and we were kind of, you know, he was shooting on stage 10 right after you guys left, and we were talking with him, and he was having a blast. So it's really cool to see younger shooters get into this, especially here like in Billings. I mean, we only had a couple, and pretty much since you've kind of moved away, Mark, like you get like 4 or 5 youth shooters now every match, which is pretty cool to see. Like,
yeah, Wayne's always fun.
Jesus, like, I don't know if that's funny.
Dude, what was even funnier is when we ended the day at the one-shot challenge, and I know there was some contention there apparently on how to properly shoot it from the guy helping out.
We just want to say that Justin cheated. Like, come on.
No one was in the circle. Fair. Jason shoots it. He's like 2/10 of a mil low, and then Justin bullseyed it. It was ridiculous.
It was comical. So the best shot was my buddy Anthony, who was in my squad. He had the best shot before you guys walked up there, and he wasn't even in the circle. And he goes, "Oh, like I have the best shot, and no one's even done like close to that." And then literally, you guys walk up, Jason almost like just slightly lows, and then Justin with his, you know, half-a-pound lightweight anti-gravity gun shoots dead center, like bullseye, offhand, unsupported prone on.
Unsupported prone. 50 yards. I was like, okay, no one's in the circle. It's a 1-inch target at 50 yards, unsupported prone. I mean, if you get a good position, I was like, you should be able to do it, right? So I'm just sitting there for like, it felt like 15 minutes trying all these different, you know, sling positions. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Oh, yeah, that wobble's like centered. All right. So then put a round in and just center the wobble and pull the trigger, and there she goes.
Yeah, easier said than done. All right, my gun's 19 pounds off, unsupported prone. That thing was not fun. No. And I was right next to a cactus. So I had cactus thorns in my left hand when I went down, and then I was rocks on my right one and cut up my arm. And I was like, you know what? I'm just sending this shot. I don't care where I don't even know if I hit my card, to be honest. I just sent a shot. I was like, best of luck. I've already won it once, and it's on my gun. And my girlfriend got one another match. We're good. I don't need more bipods.
Tip for that one: just get some elbow pads, put them in your pack. They come in handy when you're
I
shooting
should have took
prone.
my knee pads off and put them on my elbows.
There you go.
So, actually, the only reason why I bought knee pads, I shoot with knee pads now, and it's because of the Badlands Brawl last year. I went down on a rock and like almost blew my knee out. I was like, you know what? Might want to start wearing.
We have
knee
a term
pads.
for that.
Oh yeah, I know. Promotion pads. Thank you very
Oh,
much.
weak bitch.
Oh yeah, right.
There it is.
Yeah, that's good. Listen, Mark, just because
I
you're
introduced
not a
everybody to
Montanan
that
anymore,
all
you're
weekend.
now you're a Wisconsinonian, or whatever you want to call it.
Actually, what do they call it out here?
Scotties?
Is it Wisconnies
I don't know.
or Wisconsinite?
I just ignored most of Wisconsin. They're not as good. Shout out to Tyler and Brody.
You guys are just talking mad crap to them now. So
when Tyler and Brody beat you at Justin's monster match, they'll just come on this podcast and they're blasting Minnesota shooter.
Not happening.
The
That
heavy
one's
hitters are on the right side of the river.
I don't think Mark can be on the podcast anymore. He's like been on it more than anyone else because every match I've like done one for, he's won. We had Mark, Tyler, Orth, and Brody on last time, and then now Mark's on this one.
I think the first
Mark-
one I was on was for the Polar Vortex, which I didn't
was.
win that. Tyler
Well.
won that. And
Oh.
Brody, that was Brody's first X match, and yeah, he
Really?
took third and he beat me. Yeah,
Brody's only been shooting that like short of time.
very
Yeah.
new. Yep.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Minnesota and Wisconsin have some good shooters. If you ever really want to test yourself, come on up. We'll
No
show you
doubt.
how.
Well, I
I
was
get
willing to
humbled
move out
really
here.
quickly. I get humbled very quickly. I'll win a match in Billings. I'll win a match in Lewistown. Wherever I go in Montana, I win a match, and then I go to Minnesota, and I'm not even in like the top 25. So yeah, I'm like, all
There's
right,
some heavy
I'll
hitters
go
out
back
here.
to Montana later, guys. You guys have fun. I'll be up in the north. I like my cold. Leave me alone. So
Yeah, we've got like 4 or 5 clubs that are doing like monthly NRL22 matches, and I know of like 3 more that are talking about getting them. So there's so many matches up here. Just a lot of match directors, a lot of shooters, a lot of people go to multiple matches a year, and yeah, we shoot year round. Shoot in the winter time, it makes us hard.
Mhm.
Well, and didn't your match have the most participants?
Yeah, I think
the summer?
104 were shooting the
For
last
X
X
match.
match. But I mean, that's like Ruth and her promotional skills. She's just awesome at that.
But yeah, no, your handbook. I actually had messaged Ruth the other day about putting that on our website or having a link to it on our website because it's just such good information on there and such a good tool, especially for newer match directors. A lot of the clubs that are part of our series also are part of the NRL. So like even to do like they like to do some bonus stages and stuff like that. So when they do stuff like that, your guys' handbook's perfect because I mean you guys break down everything. I mean target size, distance. I mean your handbook is really good. You guys
Nice.
need to add a night section, okay? I don't know if that's
We might
open
have-
yet.
We might do
I
that.
want to do a night match. I need some, some points and tips here. So
Yeah, basically, what lights to use, how to set the lights up, where to put them next to the targets and things. It should just like a 1-pager we can add to it.
yeah, I just went to Costco and bought. They had little like work lights, 2-pack for $15, and they last apparently 5 hours. I'm gonna test them, but yeah, I bought a couple. I'm gonna go set them up and practice for you guys' match coming up because I got like a
Nice.
month. So
Yeah.
I'm actually I actually throw back the Strike Eagle back on this because this, as much as I love my Razor Gen 3, it only lights up the center, so it doesn't light up the whole thing. And the Strike Eagle.
Someone else had that issue last year,
Oh,
wasn't it? Eddie
I
or
think that was me. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, thanks for bringing it back. So the Night Force ATAC-R is center illuminated only. So I got to dial everything for the entire night match, and I'm still salty about it. So I got a ZCO.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
ZCO.
Strike Eagle won the match last year, so you'll be in good
Yep.
hands.
I had a Strike Eagle last year too. I actually felt pretty good last year until 2 stages. I pulled away from my rifle and exhaled directly into my scope, and then my scope was completely fogged up, and I couldn't see out of my scope. And then I tried to clean my scope and made it worse. So that sucked. I think that was my very first NRLX. No, that was my second. I shot the Badlands Brawl, and then I shot the That was the first time I ever shooting at night.
No, but that was your first out-of-state match. I finally got you to travel to one.
Yeah, that's right. That was my first. Because Badlands Brawl was my first NRLX match, and then a month later was when I went to your guys' match for the night match. So, yeah, that kind of started the whole thing. Shooting at night is it's a completely different
You
aspect.
have to know your equipment if you're going to shoot at night. Muscle memory is key.
Yep.
My complaint still stands for Nectar for the. I told Ruth this too. You guys can't do orange ink this year. I literally with the red lamps, I could not read the book. I literally had to be like, all right, hold on, guys, turn my light on.
We learned your lesson on that one. We're not doing that again.
That was comical. I was like, so that's just little things you don't think about until everyone has red lamps on, and then you're like, oh, orange paint or orange ink with red lamps doesn't really transfer over well. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but what Mark was saying about, knowing your equipment, what we found last year was like the night match was the wind died after the first stage or two. So it was almost on the easy side for, the higher level shooters, but then the newer shooters were saying it was way too hard. So I think it's just that learning curve is just magnified when you can't see your gear.
See, I would consider myself at that time I've only been shooting in general. Like, first time even touching a firearm was in the last a little over 3 years now. And I only got into competitive shooting by doing this 2.5 years ago. I did. Yeah, right around the same time you did. Like, you've been shooting your whole life. We've already talked about this when you shot when you're like 3 years old or something like that.
4.
I've 4. And you first time you cried. Sorry, Mark. Yeah, your deep story. But no, so that was that match. I actually had a blast. I think I was I would consider myself a new shooter at that time, and I mean it was difficult, but it was so much fun. And like you said, it feels like a party. I mean, there's music going, there's themes to everything. It's almost like a Halloween party with guns and no alcohol. Of course, that would not be the most safe thing to do. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that this year. So, is there any other NRLX matches you guys are going to coming up that you're already looking forward to?
The Halloween match.
Halloween?
Besides the Halloween match.
Yeah, we're going to Missouri this coming weekend here, down in Gadsden, where they had the championship. So
How
Doug
long is that for you guys?
How long is the drive? I think it's 9 hours.
Not bad.
Not too bad, but
It's still a trek.
I know.
Actually, I'm shooting the Gap Grind in 2 weeks. I forgot. Yeah.
Yep. I guess I'm shooting the Halloween match and probably Paul Dallon's Utah match.
Oh,
When
yeah.
is Paul Allen's match?
March.
Is it?
It's in March.
March, yeah.
Is that going to be? Is he doing the 2-day match thing or 2 different matches?
That's what we heard. He wanted to call it a brick match, so a 500 round match, and he wanted to do 2 days. And I think the way they're going to do it is it'll be 2 separate X matches back to back, Saturday, Sunday.
I shot a Utah match like a month or 2 ago at Hobble Creek, an NRLX match, and he was there and he was talking about that. So yeah, I didn't know when it was though. For some reason, I thought it was like soon, so I didn't realize it was not till next year.
Yeah, and
So.
if you really wanna get prep for nationals, Chris Simmons is hosting an X match, and I think it's like March or April too.
I thought he just did one.
He did. He just did one last weekend.
Okay.
So we're probably. I mean, I'll have a tiny baby, so we probably won't be able to do that. But I mean, that's like the way to props to him for hosting 2 X matches and the nationals, which is pretty nuts. Good for him. But I'm sure that will give us a really good look at what he's thinking for his nationals.
Because nationals is in what, North Carolina this year?
Mm-hmm.
Have they said the venue or like the region or where in North Carolina it's going to be yet?
It's like western or eastern North Carolina. I was told it's not far from the coast.
Oh, I thought it was inland. That's going to be an interesting trek. I don't know. I want to go to it, but might have to like drive to Wisconsin, stay with you, Mark, and then drive from there. I don't know. That's gonna be tough.
There's gonna be a lot of carpooling to that. I know nobody's like has any serious plans yet, but I know there's been talks of like renting or getting bigger vehicles to go. Just more carpooling.
I'm telling you, let's all get a huge like bus, the big big.
Coach
Oh, what do you call it? Yeah, coach bus.
Mhm.
Just rent a big coach bus. Mark, you can sponsor it. We'll put the pulverizer on the side of it. All right, and you have your
How
big
am I
face.
gonna sponsor it?
Some
MPS
money
is
back.
sponsoring this event.
If anyone sponsors it, you at least have to put Mark's smiling face on it from like the one photo he's ever smiled on, just right on the side of the vehicle.
Like a political ad on the side of a bus, just him smiling and some fancy.
I still think the photo from the NRL Championship this year of all of you guys looking to
He
the
loves
side
that
and
photo.
Mark is staring forward, just staring. I think is the best photo in the world. You guys need to get like face cutouts of Mark next year and all this like hold them up in a group photo because literally the photo is like my favorite photo of that whole entire weekend I saw on Facebook. I was like, that is comical. Was it planned? Did you guys actually mean to do that, or is Mark just oblivious?
They all wanted to like look off, and I was like, no. I'm just,
Mark doesn't follow directions.
No, Mark is not
I
a
walk
follower
my
by
own
any.
path.
Yeah, well, yeah, it might be the wrong path, but he'll still walk his own path. Yeah, that was a really good photo. So well, cool. Other than that, is there anything else you guys want to talk about?
It was a great match, thanks to Wayne and Darci and little
thanks,
baby.
guys. That was awesome.
It was really, really fun, and I'm excited to do it again. And they have sweet trophies. Woohoo!
Yeah, I actually told that we have so my buddy Tom Batrick out of Lewistown, he's a woodworker or does a lot of woodworking. He's going to make up a Montana wood background for Devon's trophy. I was talking with Wayne.
Yeah, I'll take one.
If you were in Montana, I would, bud, but you're a Wisconian now, right?
At least I was born in Montana, you fucking commie.
Listen, I've lived in Montana probably longer than you have. You've lived all over the dang place.
Ash, I will give you that.
Yeah, thank you. You're just all over the damn world. But
Mark, I didn't even know you were at that match.
I know.
No, so he's going to make a wooded Montana background, and I was talking to Wayne about that. That might be an idea for next year, because they mount pretty easy, if you saw how they mount, so it'd be pretty easy to put that on the Montana cut out of wood, and it'd be, like, the trophy's already cool, and if you put it on Montana, I think that's icing on the
I don't know. Like, me and Jason were talking about this. The ones we got last year out of metal were pretty neat.
Honestly,
they were Badger's skull cut out.
I will agree. The finish and the detail work that went into it's basically
the Badger skull,
but it's in metal, and they did like I don't know what kind of finish it is, but they did some sort of heat treatment to it, so you get to see the colors, and then they clear coated it. It's one of my favorite looking trophies, if not my favorite.
Don't worry, Justin.
You won it too. So.
Yep.
I'm gonna get ready for next year. I'm gonna basically shoot tank traps like all year long, left-handed. I'm gonna shoot entire matches left-handed. And then I'm gonna hide targets like in the grass. You cannot see them unless you turn your scope up to like 20 power. I'm gonna be ready.
I mean, I only shoot at 22, so I'll be good.
I don't understand how you shoot at that power. I don't
understand how you don't shoot it.
Yeah, wait, what power do you use?
So I'm usually between 20 and 25. I think Justin, you're similar, aren't you?
I'm
you're
low.
Up there.
I'm 12, 15.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, 10, 12.
What about you, Jason?
If I'm not shooting prone, it's rare for me to be above 12.
Really?
Yep.
So I'm sitting around with my 6 to 36. I'm sitting around like 20, 22. And I mean, from listening to Mark, I've got out of the habit of like moving, like zooming in, zooming out. I usually just let it sit and then acquire a target. It's just go to it, close my eye, and go. I can't shoot with both eyes open, so I'll have both eyes open while finding the target, close my eye, and it's already on. And I'm pretty easy to snap to it. 12 just seems too little. Doesn't seem like you have enough, to really get your hold. I mean, You don't dial for
Well,
win.
there are some advantages to shooting on lower power. Your parallax is less affected,
Yep.
which is a key thing. So the higher end scopes tend not to have as much issue with parallax, but a lower end scope, your parallax becomes a bigger deal on higher powers. So I get it. I just like to be zoomed in on my target.
I like the field of view usually, especially for a match like Wayne's where it's difficult to find targets. It's a lot easier for me to identify the terrain features or whatever was my indicator near the target. It's a lot easier for me to find that, and the reticle in the DCO is heavy enough that you can. I mean, I've run it pretty successfully, and like usually it's 10 to 12 power for almost every match, unless I'm prone. Then I'm up where Mark is, like low 20s.
See, that's crazy. I feel like I'm swapped with you. So I use high power at like Wayne's match, both if I go to like a Justin's match or like more of like a I wouldn't say your match is really a square range. At least some of the
It's a
matches
square
are.
range, yeah.
I mean, kind of though, because you have. I mean, I guess, but with that, I usually go farther, like or not zoomed as much. I usually stay farther out with those type of matches. So that's kind of interesting. You just do it basically flopped when I do. That's weird. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. If I'm not winning matches, maybe I have to start going to 12 power.
Using those Armageddon bags.
Oh,
Him and these Armageddon, he literally talks, just because you're sponsored by WeBet, he talks so much bad stuff about Armageddon bags. Gosh, I literally have two. I have two WeBet bags that I still use. The Armageddon bag is just so perfect for certain stages. So
they both have their advantages, but yeah, you just got to shoot whatever works for you. I just like being able to watch everything. I find myself, especially on anything wobbly or unsteady, I can still spot my misses a lot easier. You get a lot more room for error for movement post shot, or following your shot, trying to see your bullet. For me, at least.
Thing I still can't do, and Mark's kind of picked on me for this. I cannot see my round ever, never.
Well, and you won't see it every time, but you will.
I literally cannot find it ever. Like I don't think I've ever like. I remember I was shooting with you and went to 4 sites, and you're like, "Can you see?" And I went all the way out to like 8, and I like barely saw it. Like I cannot see my round. I don't know why. I mean,
I think Justin told me, because I had a hard time with that in the beginning of my shooting career too, and then Justin told me something. He said he like snaps his focus back a little bit. I think maybe Justin, you can speak to it better than I can since you do it. But it taught me to basically develop a habit of focus on your shot, and when it breaks, I pull my focus back a little bit, and usually you can pick up a little spot going, and you can. I mean, it's quick, right?
So
it's not something you're just
talking about, like, with pistol, you have sight focus or target focus, like what you're looking at. You can only focus on one thing. Well, looking through the scope, it's kind of the same thing. You can look at your reticle, or you can look at the target, and you kind of have to like watch for the target and just like wait, like trust that you're going to see something in between there. And sometimes you see the bullet, sometimes you just see the trace, depending on conditions, lighting conditions.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess I typically focus on the reticle, so I'm typically probably not looking at the target. Then again, centerfire is the same way for me. I can barely see trace with centerfire rifles, and everyone's like, "How? Like, you should be able to see it." I guess my eye doesn't pick up on that.
I think a lot of people are not spotting it as much as they think with centerfire.
Yep, I would agree.
Or as much as they claim.
Well, cool. Well, congrats, Mark, on your first ever win at the Badlands Brawl. It only took 3 years to do it. I'm proud of you.
Wasn't even there.
Jesus. Congrats. It was good shooting with you, Justin, Jason, Courtney. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
It was fun. Next time, maybe I'll try to sneak in your squad and then be super depressed that I'm not shooting to the standard you guys are, and then wither away in my own sorrows. But
you do learn a lot when you shoot with the best, though. That's how I got better.
Yep. I think it's the fastest way to get better is just expect maybe that you're not going to keep up, but you can watch how they shoot stages, watch like stage flow, things like that. You can learn a lot.
How you
And then-
approach the stage, yeah.
Yeah, you watch. Basically, I just watch Justin because I can't watch Jason because I guess he's boring.
Jason doesn't exist at these matches. He's just
Pretty much,
yeah.
But seriously, it is. It'll make you really good, really fast to get into a squad with really good shooters. So,
What was your
Yep.
biggest takeaway from this match? Anything you learned or anything that you're gonna need to work on after this match?
Honestly, no. Like we mostly talked like little stuff like it's good to have an arbitration period after the match. It's also in the rules, but like there was stage 2, there was a confusion of like scoring because you had the hidden target and it's like worth more points. So then you gotta
There's a hidden target.
then you had to pay attention to like how you were scoring the stage.
There wasn't, but it said there was in the match book, and
Right.
then in the practice score tablet, there was like a space for it or something.
Oh, yeah, he told all of us that they didn't set it up.
Yeah, it was a little confusing, just especially for new people who haven't used Practice Score or the tablet a lot. It lists like a target 1, 2, 3, or whatever it is, and then it has 0 out of 3, 1 out of 3, 2 out of 3 impacts. Then if you try to add more, it provides a little warning that says you're not supposed to have more than 3. So I would imagine it's easy to default and then start adding that to the bonus target rather than just continue adding it to one of the others. And it did let you. So
Did anyone do? Did we see that after the match? Did anyone do that? They had.
we brought it up. I don't know what came of it, if anyone found out.
Having, yeah, arbitration period is huge. Not having an arbitration period kind of just sucks. I actually was helping, like when I brought the tablets over, Wayne had showed me, and I saw a score of Wyatt from one of our Idaho shooters. His score, and I walked over. I'm like, "Oh man, congrats! Like you did really good." And I told him his score, and he goes, "I didn't get that score," and he had to go back over and correct it because apparently he was like 2 impacts off from what they wrote down in the book. So yeah, again, that's just him. So without having an arbitration period, that's definitely something that again, there's a lot of things that could change, but.
Well, like we were at the KWOW stage, and Justin thought there were 5 targets on the KWOWs, and he's like, "Hey, you got a 6?" I was like, "No, I got a 5."
Did it say there was?
No, Justin wasn't looking on
Oh.
glass. He was just scoring, so he just assumed there was 5 targets on the KWOW.
Did anyone yell out Jurassic after stage 9?
yes.
Did.
I didn't hear any other squad yelling. I didn't hear you guys yell it, but then again, I was. Shot,
So I guess if I were to take a takeaway, and we all talked about the tank trap stage, the way we were originally talking how to shoot it the first time, when you go to support side, we were going to shoot from the center, and then we were going to go around to the right-hand side of the tank trap and shoot off of that, was how we originally said it, but then we all shot it different. We shot from the center left, and then we stayed on the left-hand side, and that proved to be terrible.
Yeah, I shot a tank trap yesterday practicing, and it was so much easier shooting on the right side, left-handed.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
you guys stayed on the left?
We did,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's why we all got frustrated.
Target acquisition was super tough.
Yep.
See, I did swap to the right, but to angle your rifle to hit that first target, your stock would literally hit that leg that's sticking
So
up.
we stayed on the left-hand side of the tank trap for the first target through the center.
Mm-hmm.
And then originally we were going to go around the arm to the right-hand side. When we actually shot it, we just decided to stay on the left arm for speed, and then it did not work out fluidly.
For people listening, how this tank trap was set up was basically you had, standard tank trap, but usually the tank trap will either, like, all the legs will be pointing, kind of out of your shooting position or out of your, like, kind of your way. One of the points actually facing directly back at you. So you had to use in between. You couldn't shoot off the top. You had to shoot it like in between the top and the center, like the cradle. And when you had to go back to the middle of the cradle, especially from weak side, that middle pole was in like just a really uncomfortable position. You couldn't really get, I don't know, a steady position. I don't really know how anyone did it. Did anyone do like better than a 5-6 on that stage? Did like anyone say like anyone did really good on that stage?
I
I
mean,
think someone got an 8.
I wonder like how they decided to do that, because it was
yeah, the high score was an 8, and then 7s. Looks like average was 3.
Yeah, that was
Yep.
very that
That was
was
tough.
definitely tough stage. Yeah. So, but cool. Well, I guess Mark, my question was like, was there anything that you felt like you had to practice for your another match maybe for next year there? Like I know Courtney was
Target
saying,
acquisition for me.
target, yeah.
I got to get way better at that. I thought I was good at it. Not good enough.
I thought I was pretty good at it too. When you have like your matches, we have like number signs, like we put numbers next to ours in our matches. Like, oh, you just see the number, paint over to it, a letter. When you have to find a tiny little orange pole that's really not that easy to see, yeah, it's tough. So
I learned how to dial the wind because I almost never have to do that. So just
Just
dialing
that's
gotta
wind.
go
something
the
you guys
correct
did. Did
direction.
you guys? Yeah, that's still my problem. I still don't understand that. Did you guys actually dial for wind at this match?
I don't dial wind.
I
I
do
did.
not either.
You did.
I did
I
because
haven't
there
dialed
was
wind in like 3 years.
yes, I dialed it because there were so many mental tasks to do that I wanted to get rid of one of the mental tasks. And as long as it was, I dialed it for the minimum, so I knew I would always have to hold more.
But it was less that you had to hold. That makes sense. I mean, yeah, I didn't dial at all, but or dial for wind at all. But yeah, it definitely. I think a couple stages, especially in stage 10, I think if I dialed the minimum, would have been a little bit nicer.
So I was talking to someone about this the other day. Do you think it's possible to burn out a barrel on a
Actually,
22
no.
barrel?
Justin can bring this up.
Yeah, they say like on a stainless, match barrel, peak accuracy is like 25,000 rounds because there's like glass in the primer mix, so it acts as like an abrasive, so it does wear out the steel when you're shooting.
So do you
And
think like is
those
that just a
22s are
stainless
dirty as hell
barrel though?
too. So,
A stainless doesn't
Well, I
last
guess
as
they're all
long as like chromoly, but
yeah.
they all wear out eventually. But it's probably more likely that someone might hurt the barrel cleaning or something like that.
yep, that's usually the consensus. No, to your point though, Shane. Like honestly, at this point, if I were to change equipment, like different action, I don't think it would become more accurate, but I might like my times might get faster. I may not have to break position as much. Like Jason's new Fortner action, he can run that with his wrist, so you're not breaking position to run your bolts. Like that can potentially improve a stage for you. It's speed, not breaking position. Maybe you got into a really tough position, you're not breaking it anymore. Little stuff like that adds up in the long run.
I'm going to be so flippin' depressed if I lose to someone with a biathlon action. Literally could sit there with like a glove and just work it, man. Like,
Wait till
yeah,
he shoots at the night match.
I know, but I'm just saying, like that's you don't ever see anyone shooting that, and then like it's gonna be like, yeah, just use the straight pole.
Now everyone needs to get one.
Yeah.
As soon as
What if
Jason
that's
gets
the
running with it.
what if that's the trick that makes it ever like makes you way better? Maybe that's what everyone has to do.
Well, things are regional.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I do agree with Mark. I myself have explored a lot of different equipment through the 3 years that I've been shooting. There's a certain point that you can buy impacts with accuracy, but it's a lot lower than a lot of people would think.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Like you can do well. Like I think it would be. I think a lot of people would be surprised what good shooters could do with like a stock Tika or something like that.
Oh yeah, I mean that's already been proven. I mean, there's guys who shoot stock Tikas that do phenomenal. You know,
Yeah.
I don't think, I think Bagara, Voodoo, Rimex, the actions are so very similar. I mean, I really don't think they make a difference. I think the only thing that would really make a difference is the barrel, like you guys have already said. I just wish that Bagara offered either more like there was prefits, which I guess I know IBI does now, a prefit for Bagara, but just made it a lot easier to rebarrel a Bergara, or Bergara offered a comp barrel, a full stainless steel 22 to, or either 20 to 26-inch barrel. You could pick or choose. Like, it blows me away that Bergara doesn't do that, where CZ does that. I mean, I guess they've been around for a long time, but you can get a rebarrel of CZ it's super easy to rebarrel a CZ. And I mean, there's tons of models of CZs where you can get comp barrels, thin barrels, long barrels, whatever you want. It just blows me away that Bergara hasn't done that yet. But no, their actions are great. I think definitely going from a Voodoo to a Bergara, my Bergara I could beat the crap out of. I could slam that bull any direction I want and it would work. Voodoo, you kind of have to be a little delicate with it, but it's really smooth. But I just have to be kind of more precise and a little more delicate with it. You can't just beat it up. And I guess this is really the same thing for the Rimex. The Rimex, when I've shot my buddy's Rimex, it's kind of the same way. You can run it pretty well, but you can't just be aggressive with it like the Bergara. I mean, literally, you can push that Bergara directly down while you're pushing it forward, and it still feeds no problem. It's pretty impressive how durable those bolts are on the Bergara.
Yeah, I think as long as the gun works and it shoots pretty well, you're good to go. And it just seems like when you spend more money, you tend to just get a little bit higher likelihood that things are going to work. But if you go, get a Bergara or a Tika and the thing works, well, you're golden.
So yeah, I refuse to buy a Tika just because I don't like their mags. They look ugly. It's more of a look. It's like the same reason why I swapped away from a CZ. I love my CZ. I still think it shoots better than any gun I have. I just can't stand the little tiny, thin, little, almost like AK-47 mags. I have a banana clip for that thing, and it's 25 rounds, and the thing literally looks like a full-on AK mag. It's comical.
I think it looks like a magazine that was designed for 22 long rifle and not for 308.
Yeah.
It's the same thing like an Anshoot. Same exact thing with tiny mags.
Yeah.
Savage's tiny mags.
That's like what the mag is supposed to look like for those.
I want to grab something girthy and like thick and manly in my hand, not this little tiny little thin pencil dick thing. All right, listen. All right, I want girth.
I don't know how we got this.
I know.
Right here.
Honestly, though, like I think reliability. That's been something that's
Yes, like I would take reliability over accuracy.
I would too.
Yeah,
I would too.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at like stage one. Like, you have an accurate rifle, but you weren't able to shoot the stage. So what does it matter?
I don't really. But even like, so you had the same exact problem I did, Jason. After
It's a
getting off
Voodoo,
that side.
unfortunately.
Well, it's the side by side. It caked the action. My action was caked with mud and dirt.
Weebad sells a rifle caddy. I don't know what to tell you.
God, I'm like gonna bleep every single time you say Weebad, so no one knows what you're like. I'm sponsored by beep. I'm just every single time, so no one knows. Like, what team are you on, Mark? Beep.
I'm gonna send this to Robert.
Oh God, Jesus.
But I do think people also underestimate the like, if you can get good dope and you have good data in your Kestrel, like that will save 1,000 impacts at a match. Like if you, I mean, okay, but like,
what kind of matches are you shooting? This is Paul down times
1 million.
Jeez,
1 million. But like if you put crap data into your Kestrel, you're gonna get crap output. So like the lot testing,
you get crap results. Yeah.
You get crap results. So like the lot testing and like the fact that like you know that your ammo, you trust your Kestrel. Like literally every single time I screw something up, I realize that I didn't trust the Kestrel, and I just like every single time have to be like, just trust the Kestrel. Like the Kestrel knows what to do. The thing is so smart. Like if you put good data into it.
I was gonna say if you put good data into it, because
put
you can put bad data into it and it is a dumb kestrel.
Yes.
I think that's probably one of the best pieces of advice that Mark has ever told me. It was trust your data.
Trust your dope. You gotta trust the dope.
Yeah, and I'd say that to every match I go to, and I see guys like missing, they're like, don't know what's going on. They think they're high, they're low, whatever. I'm like, stop what you're doing. Just trust your data. They always think it's the data's wrong first over, well, they didn't make a mistake. They didn't make a bad trigger pull. They didn't flinch. They didn't have a steady position. It's never them. It's always my data's wrong. And then you see guys like mid-match going into their kestrel or straight lock, changing velocities during the middle of the match. Like, no, just don't touch it. Just leave it alone. But you do have to put good data in. From swapping from the Bergara to the Voodoo, I don't have accurate data. I only have data to about 200 yards. So I haven't even got to shoot this thing long range yet till the Badlands Brawl. And yeah, I was using the stray lock at the Badlands Brawl because my Voodoo data wasn't correct because I didn't know what it was going to do at 300 plus yards. So I actually didn't even know you could. I knew there had to be a way, but I didn't know how you got to that drop spot on the kestrel where you can actually add like where it hits at a certain yardage. Yeah, drop. What's it called? Drop what?
DSF.
Max ordnance. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Jason's holding the kestrel.
I was just gonna say it's called trace, by the way. Throwback to the initial comment that we talked about. It's actually called trace.
Oh, it just tells you where to look. It's like 2/3 of the way to the max ordnance, something like that.
Yeah. I've always used 3/4 as my rule of thumb.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, nerds.
I like how you held up the kestrel, but we're not recording video anymore, so you're just holding up the kestrel.
I actually thought about it. Like, there's no way you guys are reading that. So,
you need to put on a kestrel class, Jason.
I learned everything that I know from kestrel.
I know Mark showed me that video, and I am dumb.
It is dry. Like, it's unfortunately.
I love that stuff. I could watch that stuff all day.
No, I think the video you sent me was like the recording of a class, so it had.
It was a class.
People. Yeah. It wasn't just kestrel.
Yep, that's what I'm talking about. I love those classes. That was the most interested I've been since like an actually interesting classic.
Jason wants to work for Applied Ballistics. If anyone's listening from Applied Ballistics, just give him the job now. Jesus Christ.
I could like you guys are too smart for me. Jason like wants all the ballistics and data, then Justin loves stats and statistics about every single thing. And I mean it's crazy to like watch look at your guys' your match director's handbook, because like the amount of detail that's in that handbook is just, it's like my brain, I can read it and still barely compute that. I'm like, how in the world did they do this? It's
what, we simplified it.
Well, apparently not for me. Thanks. It's not monkey proof. Everything you guys do, just send to me first, and I'll tell you if it's idiot proof, because I was still confused in certain things. I mean, Mark gives me shit, but like, if you ask me, like, all right, at 100 yards, how many mils are you holding? It literally will refuse to memorize that or learn any of that stuff, because of the fact that I'm so tired of, I used to shoot MOA, then I go to mill, then I went back to MOA, then mill, and it's like, I don't want to get confused. I'm just like, no, you tell me what to shoot, I hold that, I shoot that. I'm trying to keep it as like bare monkey basic minimum. Anyone can do it. You guys are way too smart for me.
I like to nerd out.
I think that's pretty much everything. If we're going to add this on to the other podcast, I think that's pretty much it, because we already talked about the drive.
What else there's to add.
Yeah. Well, Jason, Courtney, Justin, Mark, congratulations, even though Mark doesn't exist, and I still refuse to believe that Mark exists.
It's a figment of our imagination.
Thank you all for joining the podcast and being on the podcast. Mark, congratulations, if you do exist, on your first ever win at the Badlands Brawl. Or just don't respond. Jesus.
Oh,
Okay, you know what?
I did
Oh
it,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. No. Okay. Jesus Christ.
Thanks, Shane.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you
It's been
guys.
fun.
Congrats
See you
to
at-
Mark and Justin. You two both shot really well.
Yeah,
So did
Team
you guys.
MPS killed it.
it was a great team effort. It was good. It was a good MPS team effort. So lots of good shooting and lots of good competition. So
No doubt.
So the last question I have for all of you guys is Team MPS. How much did you guys pay Mark to join your guys' team and move to Wisconsin? Because this is some bullshit. He was a Montana shooter until you guys stole him from us. So, this is not fair. I need to talk to our team and see how much money we can pay Mark to come back.
Yeah, there is a number. We found it, so we're not going to disclose the value, but I'm sure you can get them back.
I'm just gonna kidnap his cat. We'll do some blackmail here. I
You
probably won't
wouldn't
have a
get 10
life. I
yards
was
with
gonna
the
say I
knife,
probably
Cat.
won't be alive if I touch this cat.
There's a few
But,
things in this world I care about.
Literally, you care about that cat more than anything else in this world.
Well, I'm always showing photos at matches. People know that.
Well, thank you guys. I'll have a lot of editing to do here to make this work, but we'll see how this goes. So hopefully it turns out good. If not, we'll do one the next match that you guys literally win everything at.
Next year, we'll come back.
Yeah,
We'll be
just literally they're gonna like ban
bring
Team
more.
MPS every. No, stop
bring more
bringing MPS. here.
They'll need
Literally,
more trophies.
It's gonna be first and second in ladies division, and then probably Ruth will beat everyone and get first overall.
Well,
and then-
okay, so that's an interesting thing. If we brought Ruth, we might have to talk her
Oh.
into shooting in ladies so that we can take more trophies home.
Mark, how do
We're
you
trying to
say that?
divide and
Woman, how
conquer
about that?
here, not
Oh
just.
my God.
conniving.
Yeah, there's too many of you guys.
We
This is
could
not
bring some
fair.
young guns from the region.
We do have some good young guns.
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
bring
we
some.
do have some.
I'm surprised that. Well, he's too old now. Chad's.
Is he? Zach
Zach?
shot though.
Molly's a young
Yeah,
gun.
he's open now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Molly should have came out. That'd have been cool.
Oh, she's ladies now.
Molly's
isn't
been having a lot of
Oh, that's right.
surgeries.
Yeah. So
Yep.
She's healing
well,
up.
next year, if you guys are more than welcome to stay in Fort Peck with all of us, we'll probably rent that house again. It was a really fun time. So,
Nice.
but yeah, thank you guys for coming. Appreciate it. MPS is banned from the state of Montana for at least 5 years, so to give everyone else a chance to win. But thank you guys, and oh, hi puppy. Sorry, no one can see that. There's a video of a puppy, but all right, see you guys.
All right, see you.
Later.
Yeah.